How to do seller financing. Welcome back. Now, in this episode, I'm going to answer your question, how to do seller financing. I'm Ted Thomas, and for the last 30 years, I've been involved in the real estate business, except all I've done is tax liens and tax deeds. Now, this is a business that's lucrative, it's profitable, it's very honorable, and everybody does well. If you happen to buy tax liens, you'll do well. If you're the county, you do well. If you have a property, you do well. Everyone does well. So it helps the community, and it helps the homeowner and everyone that's involved. So stay with me. We'll kind of learn some step-by-step process at how to do seller financing deals. So welcome back. Seller financing is happening every day of the week because thousands and thousands of people, about 25% of the market, cannot get financing from the bank because they have a low FICO score, or they've been through a bankruptcy recently or a divorce. So once you start doing these kind of deals, you're going to see how lucrative it is. And no matter how you cut it, you'll make a lot more money by selling it once and then carrying the paper or getting monthly payments. It will certainly work out. So the seller is the one that is going to be very, very excited, and that's you, because what you're going to do is you're going to start out as a buyer at the auction, and you're going to try to buy that property for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get a major discount. Now, when you get that discount, what you could do is you can go put it on the market retail. I teach my clients, buy it low and then sell it low. Okay, this is a wonderful experience. Why? Because you're going to buy it low, you're going to be able to sell it low. That solves the selling problem. The problem you haven't solved is the financing problem, which is how they're going to get financing. If it's under $100,000, they're probably going to have to find a private lender because the banks all want to do cookie cutter deals. Average home price is $250,000, $300,000, according to Zillow and the MLS. So if that's the case, well, those properties are going to be cookie cutters. They're going to go over there with a loan broker. They're going to have a home inspection. They're going to have a title company. They're going to have everything that you can imagine take place that always slows the sale price down. All right, now anytime that you slow the sale price down, you're going to be in trouble. So here's what we do. We buy it low, we sell it low, and we start advertising right away. And so $100,000 or $50,000 property, we're going to try to get that property back in the market at somewhere around $30,000 or $35,000. Why? Because we want to sell it low, make some money there, and then move on to the next property, okay? Now, the banks are slow, but they're not anywhere near as slow as the home inspection people, the appraiser people. All right, this all overwhelms the buyers. The buyers just get sick of all that. So when people have to get an appraisal or a home inspection, to them it's a big, difficult thing. All right, anytime that you slow it down, it's going to kill your sales process. So let's do it the way that we're suggesting here. Let's do seller financing deals. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, first you got to buy it low, and then don't try to get retail. Get a lower price so you can get the selling problem solved. You can solve the installment part of it easily. How can you do that? Just agree. What do they want? They'll tell you what they'll give you for down payment. They'll tell you what they can give you for the payment. Once you know those two numbers, then just do everything else the other way. Just add to the payments. They can make those. It's the only way to do it. So seller financing works, and it does it fast. I have clients go to the auction today. By the end of the week, they've already sold the property. Yes, they sold it with seller financing. Yes, they sold it as is, but they got a down payment. They got the contract signed. They got money moving right now, and that's what you want. And if you can get payments on those deals, all the more power to you. Now, most people don't realize that you can sell your own real estate, and that's why we're entrepreneurs and mavericks, because we're going to buy these properties 20, 30 cents on the dollar, 40 cents tops. Guess what? Then we're going to put them back out in the marketplace. We're going to sell them quickly. We can make the deal right now. If you make that deal, then you can be collecting money. You're not waiting for appraisals. You're not waiting for a loan approval. You're not waiting for a banker to determine your fate. You're going to make things happen right now. You don't have to worry about home inspections. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So it's a big advantage to be an entrepreneur and be buying properties under that $100,000 or $150,000. Why? Because you can get them right back into the marketplace just using signs, using Craigslist, eBay. The other market, they have to get a broker. They have to get a loan broker. I'm not negative. I love brokers because they bring me deals. So I love the brokers people, but sometimes it takes them 4 or 5 months. What if you could have it sold and have money coming in during that 4 or 5 months? All right, so the banker just wants standardized deals. What do they want for standard? They want an exact down payment. They want that couple that's buying, both of them to have incomes. They want them to have good FICO scores. They want them to have good track records on the way they do things. All of our people are going to be just like us. They're kind of mavericks. Well, what do you mean mavericks? Well, I mean, maybe they started a business and went bankrupt. Maybe their wife and the husband don't get along anymore. They might have a divorce. Maybe they've been through a bankruptcy. They could have been through all kinds of trouble. Why don't we finance them and make that money? When you look at my example at the end, you're going to say, Ted, how could you make so much money? Because you're going to make big money. So how to do financing, do seller deals, this is the way you want to do it. So I'm answering the question, how to do a seller financing deal. And you're going to do that by, number one, getting your price down, get a low down payment, and get them making payments. You don't have to do anything that's standard. You can do everything that you want. You're going to bypass the banking system. You're going to bypass the broker. You're going to bypass the home inspector. You're going to bypass the appraisal. All of those things cost you money. And when you make the payment and get all that money paid out, you will have paid 10% of the value of that property before you're done. Let me say that again. You'll have paid 10% of the value of that property before you're done. Do you want to give that money away? So a $100,000 property, you're going to give away $10,000. That all comes out of your profit. Yeah, it does. Every bit of it does. All right, so you can sell directly to the client. We call that a contractor sale or a contract for deed. Okay, I'm not against the brokers. I love the brokers. They bring me deals. I'm always going to love it. But do you want to wait for them to find a buyer? It might take them 6 months or 6 years. I've fired more brokers than I've hired. I can tell you that. That's a joke. Okay. All right. Now, I have clients that do this in days. So I'm going to give you some examples, okay? All right. You don't need a lot of services from outside people. If you want to use the broker and you want to use the attorney and you want to use the loan broker and you want to use the title company, it's okay with me. But I'm teaching you how to do seller financing. And you can do deals yourself. All right. Zillow is known in the marketplace for doing appraisals. They're going to tell you the average house is $250,000 to $300,000. You can confirm that by walking the neighborhood. You could go to the multiple listing service. My point is, if you have a $300,000 property and you pay a 6% commission, it's 8%. I don't mind the brokers making money, but can you afford that $18,000 out of your profit? You need to think about that. All of those companies that work and get appraisals and do home inspections and bank approvals, all of that costs you money. Why don't we just sell it on Zillow and Craigslist? And why don't we get it out into the marketplace on any electronic site that we can? By doing that, we're going to be able to sell it ourselves and make it happen today, not tomorrow. Today. Why today? Because the seller is standing there. And what can they afford for a down payment? Stand there and ask them that. What can they afford for a payment? You can make the deal any way you want to make it. They can always make the payments extended. My point is, you need to spend a few minutes explaining to the client and saying, I'll finance you. If you'll finance him, you're going to make money. Now, I'm going to show you this. Now, you already understand that the selling process is relatively solved because we're going to buy the discount and we're going to sell at a discount. Properties under $100,000, the bank doesn't want them anyway. The bank is not chasing those properties down. You can then sell that property yourself. If you bought it for 20 cents on the dollar, what the heck? Sell it for 50 cents on the dollar. All right? So a $100,000 property, you paid 20 cents on the dollar, you paid $20,000 for that property. Do you have to sell that property for a big number? No, of course you don't have to. What if you could sell it for 50 or 60,000? How long would it take? It wouldn't take but days. Everybody would want it. All right, but what if they haven't got money? You're going to have to finance them. All right? So this gives you a competitive advantage. Now you could just take payments. So if you can sell, you can solve the problem. If you can finance, you double solve the problem. You're not going to get a lot of people looking at your signs unless you have them out there. So if you have them out there and they say installment sale or land contract, all the people that have a bad FICO score, they know exactly what that means. That means you'll finance them. So they're looking for your ugly sign. They're looking for your Craigslist ad. Why? Because they want to get a deal, low down payment, low payments. They don't care how long it's going to take. So today I'm answering the question, how do seller financing deals work? They work easily. You just need to have to get a down payment. And I'm going to give you some perfect examples right now. Okay, it's never perfect, but let's say if this would work for you. I think you'll think it over and say, wow, I can do that exact thing. All right, so let's say the tax assessed value was $100,000. All right, but you went to the auction and you bought it at a tax auction for 20 cents on the dollar. And you a happy camper? Look at the margin you got. Now, if you want to go for the $100,000, go for it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the thing sold this afternoon. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do an installment sale. I'm going to sell that property for $50,000. I'm going to put it on Craigslist. I'm going to put it on eBay. I'm going to put it on Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to put it on Zillow. I'm going to put huge signs out front saying installment sale and must sell and things like that. I'm going to take a down payment of $5,000. That's way low. Everybody else wants high. Way low. All those people come to me, they'll have $5,000. All right. Then I'm going to say I want payments, $450 a month for 10 years. Folks, that's all the people care about is that payment. They're going to get in for $5,000 and now they're going to make payments to you. Well, I'm going to take those payments for 10 years' time. That's 120 months. That's $66,000. So I'm really not selling it for the $50,000 you see there. I'm going to get $66,000 plus I'm going to add to that my down payment. So now I've sold the property for 70% of value. Yes, I had to wait a little while, but it's okay with me because I got the job done. I didn't have to worry about brokers. I didn't have to worry about a loan broker. I didn't have to worry about a home inspection. I didn't have to worry about an appraisal. I didn't have to worry about anything. I got the thing done right now and made money. Now, I didn't have to settle for $450. I could have said, you get $5,000 down, pay me $550. Do the math, you'll see there's another chunk of dough. Folks, this works. You need to be doing it. All right, now I have two questions before I go. People ask all the time, can I do this online? Everything I'm showing you now can be done online, every bit of it. How do you find tax deeds online? Well, two ways. There's a lot of ways. First way is just go to the county website, and they'll tell you when it is. All right. They'll also put them in the newspaper, and there's many auction sites. I can't name them all right now, but you can go to my website, and there'll be numerous auction sites there. Everything from bid for assets to whatever. There'll be at least 10 of them on there. All right. Now, I'm about to finish up, and I want to tell you two things before I leave, and that's number one, you don't want to buy properties at auction unless you've looked at those properties. They could have a fire. They could have any number of things like a windstorm. You could have a hurricane. You could have a flood. Something could happen to that property. Or that property might be right next to a chicken farm. You might not want that property if you got there and saw that chicken farm. So don't buy a property unless you've already seen it. The other big mistake that people make at auctions, and it's a severe one, is they buy property before they figure out their exit strategy. So don't go there to bid to win and get to be the higher bidder. Go there and know what you're going to bid so that you have margin for profit. Now, my name is Ted Thomas, and what I want you to know is right below me, there's a gift. It's a free gift. You ought to take advantage of that.